Tonight's big stories. Vice President Sara Duterte makes a bold exit as chairperson of Lakas CMD in what some speculate as a show of support for the recently demoted Congresswoman Gloria Arroyo. House Speaker Martin Romualdez, meanwhile, is definitely getting support from major parties in the lower house amid rumors of an alleged ouster plot against him. We'll speak with former Palace spokesman Harry Roque regarding these developments.
A lawmaker is pushing for higher speed limits along expressways to update standards that have been in place since 1984. But motorists seem to be divided on the matter. And still on transportation, the LTO is reminding motorists that baklas plaka is strictly prohibited.
Hospital admissions for COVID-19 are registering a slight uptick. The Private Hospitals Association of the Philippines notes that COVID-19 bed occupancy rates for some hospitals have gone up to as high as 50%. We'll discuss that later on.
Welcome to the big story. I'm Gretchen Ho.
I'm Chicky Verhel.
And I'm Sean Yao.
Oy.
Siyempre, big day, di ba? Pinag-uusapan pa lang natin kahapon.
Ang dami nangyari pagkatapos ng the big story kagabi.
Tapos Friday pa.
Which is the former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo saying that she thinks she was misinterpreted with her recent misconstrued
is the word,
actions, particularly her trip bringing some congressmen to Korea.
By the way, madalas silang ginagawa yan. Hindi naman siya ganun ka-secret. Nakikita mo, if you follow them on Instagram, you will see sometimes yung mga grupo-grupo nila per party, they have some sort of team buildings abroad. So it's really nothing new.
Ang sinasabi ng mga political analysts o mga would-be political analysts daw,
armchair analysts,
parang it's a preparation for 2028. And yet there are some like we spoke with Ace Barbers kanina, Representative Ace Barbers in another show, and sabi niya it's too early for that. It's too early.
Is it really? Kasi Manong Ed Selagman has said pretty much the same thing. Wala pa ngang midterm elections. Kakapahinga pa lang natin 1 year after last year's elections.
Let's remember that the ruling party, Lakas CMD, is now the leading majority bloc, the largest party in Congress. Will anything change that? The president is Martin Romualdez, of course, and the president emeritus, President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. And the former president was also referring to, or rather, the vice president is saying that she cannot be poisoned by political toxicity or undermined by execrable political power play, possibly affecting dynamics in the lower house and even the planned reorganization of Marcos Jr.'s cabinet. One opposition lawmaker also thinks that the president should do a loyalty check over at the military.
Oh no, that just means one more
Alam
thing.
natin kung saan ang loyalty ng mga militar sa ngayon, sa mga Duterte pa rin. At ito ay strategic positions na dapat na makita ng Marcos administration.
All right, let's hear this time around what political experts think of these developments. We have Marian Enriquez. For that, Maan, go ahead.
Yeah, Sean, for former political advisor Ronald Llamas, VP Sara's move could be a way of showing support for former President Arroyo. One way of looking at it is that Speaker Romualdez's push for Chacha could be getting in the way of VP Sara's plan for 2028. But of course, her presidential bid remains to be a speculation for now. But if there's no Chacha, it could cement her political influence until such time. Despite these developments, political analyst Edmund Tayao believes there is no rift in the uniteam since both PBBM and VP Sara remain supportive of each other and the administration in general. Sean?
Thanks for that, Marian Enriquez of News 5.
Meanwhile, major parties are expressing support for House Speaker Martin Romualdez as political drama shakes Congress. Lakas CMD Chairman Senator Bong Revilla reaffirmed his party's loyalty to President Marcos and his cousin, Speaker Martin Romualdez. In a statement, Revilla pledged unity amid rumors of so-called plots to unseat Romualdez as Speaker. Romualdez sits as president of Lakas CMD while Congresswoman Arroyo is the party's president emeritus. PDP Laban, the party of former President Rodrigo Duterte, also expressed support for the Marcos administration and the leadership of House Speaker Romualdez. The Villar-backed Nacionalista Party is likewise pledging full commitment for Speaker Romualdez and President Marcos. Other parties backing Romualdez include the Nationalist People's Coalition or NPC and the National Unity Party or NUP.
Speaker Romualdez accompanied President Marcos today to separate events in Pampanga and Zambales. Let's ask Maricel Halili how that went and if the president had anything to say about the recent issues surrounding the speakership. Go ahead, Maricel.
That's right, Sean. President Bongbong Marcos and House Speaker Martin Romualdez together attended the 4th General Assembly of the League of Municipalities of the Philippines in Clark, Pampanga, as well as the Navy's weapon system demonstration in Zambales. During one of the events, House Speaker Martin Romualdez even introduced the president to the crowd. And right off the bat, the president said that he will not give any comment about the current issue on House speakership. In both events, I've seen nothing unusual with the actions of both President Marcos and House Speaker Martin Romualdez. They were seen smiling and chatting with their colleagues. So we'll have to wait and see what will be the development of this issue. Sean?
All right, thank you for that update, Maricel Halili.
Now joining us for a discussion about the seeming power struggle in the lower house, we have with us on the show Harry Roque, former presidential spokesperson to former President Rodrigo Duterte. Sir.
To all of you, and good evening to your audience. At first glance, it will seem like this is another preemptive move to preserve Speaker Romualdez as Speaker of the House, no? But what makes it distinct and what seems to be an indication that it's a lot more than just the speakership is the fact that the Vice President herself resigned as member of Lakas CMD. And we all know that while Speaker Romualdez is the President of Lakas CMD, the Vice President is Chairman of Lakas CMD. And that is why I tend to believe that the speakership is an issue, yes, because there may have been a perceived attempt to oust the speaker from this position on the part of President GMA, former President GMA, which he has clarified is a misunderstanding. No? But at the same time, I think it is also a manifestation on the part of the Vice President that she's not yet ready to engage in partisan politics this early, and hence her reason for resigning from the Lakas CMD.
So, Attorney, do you think it was just because of her trying to back off from the politics happening, or do you think this was also a show of support for former President Gloria Arroyo?
I think it's both. I think she's saying it's too early to do this kind of politicking because, you know, the reality is President GMA, former President GMA, is such a veteran politico that she knows that it is not the time to challenge Speaker Martin Romualdez for the post of speakership. First, he's a relative. Number two, he's probably the closest advisor to the president right now, no? And number three, he gets things done in the House, no? So I think it would be foolhardy in the first place for PGMA to attempt to oust him, no? But still, this did not prevent the supporters of the speaker or the speaker himself, no, from demoting PGMA, possibly to send the message that she should not even consider such a coup, no? But I think the reaction of the Vice President was unexpected. The Vice President, and rightfully, I think, perceived this as politicking this early, which seems to indicate that perhaps there are quarters within Lakas CMD that would want a higher post for the Speaker and not just the post of Speaker for now.
All right, Attorney Roque, VP Sara, in her statement, and I'm going to quote, she said political toxicity as well as execrable power play or very unpleasant power play as her reasons for exiting Lakas CMD. What do you think she meant by this?
She meant it's too early to play politics, that we should be focused on governance at this stage because after all, it's only been a year since the unit team was given a mandate by the people. So I think what she's saying is let's focus on delivering what the people expect from us. And 2028, after all, it's still 5 years away. But you see, the reality in politics, in Philippine politics in particular, is you need to plan ahead. No? And that's why I think quarters responsible for the demotion of PGMA are thinking of 5 years ahead of time, no? Which the VP says is really too early. And I tend to agree with that.
How does this play off, Attorney Roque? I mean, looking at the events in the recent weeks, we have been talking about, the cabinet reorganization of President Marcos, given that the one-year ban after the elections is already over. A lot of the names that have been cropping up, a lot are actually, of course, allied to or at some point in time related to the former President Arroyo. And then this. How does this all tie in together? Are these all interrelated?
Well, I think they are not interrelated, no? For instance, although this is politicking within Lakas CMD, which is the biggest political party in the House, take note that the president is not a member of Lakas CMD. He's a member of Partido Federal de Pilipinas, no? And that is why the president can rightfully rise above the fray, so to speak, no? On the other hand, VP Sara cannot claim to rise beyond the fray because she is chairman of Lakas CMD. So her statement is a clear repudiation of the politicking that is happening too early in Lakas CMD. And I hope the leaders of Lakas CMD will take heed, no? Because I think as the public servant with the highest approval and trust rating, the vice president is a very good barometer of the people's mood, no? And I think what she's saying is that people will not accept this kind of politicking when they're expecting performance from the leaders today.
Attorney, sabi nga po nila, no, if there's fire, there's smoke, ano po sa tingin niyo pinanggagalingan po nitong, yung pag-misconstrue ng actions ng former president as coup plotting?
Well, I don't think it's a misconstruction. I don't think they were misconstrued. I think that congressmen know that it's foolhardy for the former president to attempt a coup at this point. I think they're more interested in ensuring that they will build the party in time for 2028. And that's why they had to send a message that no one should stray from the path. No? I mean, I can't imagine any congressman believing that at this point, and given the proximity of the speaker to the president, that GMA could actually succeed in ousting him. No? So it must be because they're really preparing for 2028 that they want to remove all roadblocks to what they consider as the ultimate goal in 2028, which is the presidency.
Very quickly, Attorney, do you have a fearless forecast on what could happen sa SONA po?
Well, the president eventually will have to address this politicking within the House of Representatives because although he's not a party of Lakas CMD, everyone is part of a coalition supporting his administration. And I think on his second SONA, he has to tell his supporters that we have to be focused on governance now because we haven't even reached midterms election. No? And he should now be more specific as to what he wants to achieve and what he wants from Congress. No? So I think this will be a more observed and more listened to SONA because the first SONA was more or less an opportunity for him to give us the broad strokes of what he wants to do in the 6th year of his administration. This time, people would want the details, and this time, people would want him to instruct his party mates in the House in particular on how much politicking they should be involved in.
All right, I'm going to say this, Attorney Roque, because we have to. The push for Chacha, would this maybe have anything to do with the events in the last 2 days?
Well, I find it hard to believe that it does because the president has repeatedly said he does not believe that he needs a charter change, even for purposes of economic development. No? So I think his position has been clear, although the members of the House have been also very clear that they don't agree necessarily with the president. No? So let's see how this plays out. No? If the party mates or the supporters of the president would in fact heed the call of the president to prioritize other things such as the economy rather than charter change.
Thank you for your time, Attorney Harry Roque. Of course, he's the former presidential spokesperson to ex-President Rodrigo Duterte.
Up next, the Philippine Navy had a blooper while demonstrating its weapon system right in front of President Marcos. The details of that when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching the big story here on One News. Aboard the viewing ship BRP Davao del Sur, President Bongbong Marcos witnessed the Philippine Navy missile test firing and capability demonstration earlier today. Yun nga lang, girls, may konting problema.
Konti ba? Medyo malaki yata yung problema.
The Navy was set to display its first ever anti-air warfare capabilities with the test firing of the Mistral 3 surface-to-air missile fitted on guided missile frigate BRP Antonio Luna, the launching of bullfighter chaff on board Luna's sister ship BRP Jose Rizal, and the flight of an anti-submarine warfare naval helicopter. However, the much-awaited missile firing never happened. Nevertheless, the president still has high hopes for the Navy's future buildup.
We will not stop with just this exercise. This will not be the last of its kind. We set our sights to the completion and eventual commissioning of the rest of the Philippine Navy projects in the pipeline. Let us likewise ensure parallel training and capacity building for our personnel.
I wonder what China has to say about that. But like what we said earlier, the main event in this demo did not happen. We spoke to mobile journalist Julie Baiza earlier and asked her what happened. Julie, give us the details again.
Chiki, it was a drone's fault. This target drone failed to fly to the demo area from Zambales due to a technical glitch. So technically, the 30 million peso missile was not the problem, and as Philippine Navy Chief Vice Admiral Toribio Adasi said, the system itself is in working order. Despite not being able to test it, the Mistral missile system will be officially launched and deployed to active service in the next few weeks. The system aims to bolster the country's defense and deterrence capabilities. Chiki?
Thank you. That's our mobile journalist Julie Baiza.
Good, we found out now that, you know, we have some glitches over there too.
So that's what testing is for. That's
True. That's true.
Well, do you guys know that when the speed limit along expressways were set by the DPWH, that happened during the 1980s.
Oh, tagal na.
Hindi pa ako buhay nun.
Sasabihin mo, matanda na yung speed limit, natatamaan ka.
Tanda na. And of course, that was meant to ensure the safety of motorists. But fast forward today, after almost 4 decades, same speed limit pa rin. So kung naman ka sa NLEX, sa SLEX, di ba 100 kph, di ba?
Pero linawin lang natin, naalala ko nung medyo, siguro 4 years ako working in news, may malaking nagyari. Mataas, medyo mabilis kasi yung speed limit nun sa Skyway. May Skyway na. Nahulog yung bus.
Uy.
Madulas, nagsispeed siya. So parang ngayon,
Ba't
parang yung
balance
cars 100, di ba? Pero yung mga malalaking truck, mga bus, nasa mga 80. So medyo mabagal nga. At sa Skyway 3, mas mabagal pa, parang 60 nga lang yata. Eh, di ba? Ang ganda ng road.
Pero kasi marami na rin yung pinagbago ng mga sasakyan ngayon.
Sabi nga
gumanda
nila,
na rin yung safety features niya. And exactly because of that, Ilocos Sur Representative Ronald Singson is calling for a higher speed limit along expressways. He says the proposed measure aims to introduce an optimal safety speed along expressways. For buses and trucks, as you mentioned, the lawmaker is proposing a higher speed limit of 120 kilometers per hour from the current 80 kph. And for light vehicles, the proposed speed is at 140 kph from the current 100. The Toll Regulatory Board supports this bill, but they note that the quality and condition of expressways must first be improved. The agency adds that the new speed limits must be strictly implemented.
The range of speed limits being proposed are beyond the standards of the DPWH, considering the fact that the design speed of our expressways, they were built based on the specifications written on the 1984 design guidelines and criteria of the Bureau of Design of DPWH.
So, syempre, hindi lang naman yung quality ng roads yung dapat i-improve. Dapat din yung quality ng cars. Kasi minsan nakaka-aksidente rin, di ba? Yung pumuputok ng mga gulong. mga
luluma
ganyan.
kasi.
Although, syempre nagde-drive din ako doon. No? Parang medyo mabagal talaga yung 100.
Lalo na kung SC-Tex, T-Flex, di ba?
Pang holiday lang yun yung speed na yun.
And maraming sabihin nila, yung 100, 120 talaga yan, di ba? Laging ganun yung mga...
If you shorten the travel time from one city to another or province to another, then that also boosts tourism, right?
Yeah, and increases and mobility and saves us time. Now, still on road concerns, ito may isa pa. Bawal daw tanggalin ang mga license plates ng mga kotse. That's a reminder from the LTO or Land Transportation Office for those caught violating traffic laws. Sabi ng LTO, the strict prohibition of tampering with vehicle license plates still stands, or what we commonly call as baklas plaka. In a memorandum signed by LTO Chief J.R. Tugade, the agency emphasized that LTO enforcers or their deputized agents should not tamper with the license plates. The memorandum was issued after a public outcry on LTO enforcers and deputized agents confiscating these license plates. Tugade added that the agency's Central Command Center are able to swiftly relay information about flagged motor vehicles to law enforcement officers in the field. Hence, there is no need to take license plates. Tugade also advised motorists to report erring LTO personnel through their hotlines.
Up next, girls, some hospitals report a slight increase in COVID case admissions. Let's see what the health department has to say about this when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
You're still watching the big story here on One News. So, ladies, what else do we have tonight?
Before we head on over to the weekend, let's remind people that COVID cases are rising.
Oh, no.
So it's the second straight day that we have more than 2,000 cases in a day.
Oh, hindi naman pampanira. Ano lang yan?
Warning lang.
reminder
Ingat lang.
Oh,
Mag-ingat lang,
warning.
di ba? Ito nga, in line with that, more and more hospitals are opening up COVID wards for COVID patients as cases pick up. In Santa Ana Hospital in Manila, they've opened up their infectious diseases control center once again to accommodate COVID patients. In Caloocan, Tala Hospital is also seeing COVID-19 admissions go up, but they said the situation remains manageable. Hospital workers say that most of the COVID cases being admitted are mild to moderate and are mostly those with existing comorbidities. The health department says there is no need to panic because there are enough COVID-19 beds nationwide to accommodate patients. However, a hospital group says that a lack of manpower could prevent them from taking in more people.
So kung masyadong dumami yan at wala kaming maibigay na nurses because of kulang nga tayo sa number of nurses, yun ang magiging reason why hospitals will no longer admit cases ng COVID.
Dapat may kakayanan ng ating mga ospital na makapag-convert ng mga non-COVID wards or beds nila into COVID. And our hospitals are very much prepared to do this again.
So meron palang report sa Philippine General Hospital that those hospitalized have only had one shot of the COVID vaccine.
So, bitin ng one dose. At baka nga bitin din ng booster dose. Pero ito, no, numbers tayo really quickly. So,
Sige.
ang sabi kasi ng PHAPI, o yung Private Hospitals Association, yung sa ibang hospital daw, nasa mga 20%, yung iba as high as 50% capacity. Now, that's very manageable, so no need to panic, pero mag-ingat pa rin tayo, di ba? Ano pa ba yung ibang numero na meron tayo? Yun nga, darating na rin yung bivalent vaccines
Yes.
very, very soon. Although, I will not, pag nag-materialize na siya, doon na lang natin yan.
The Philippine
Pag
Heart
andyan na.
Center is not allowing visitors anymore to
Oh,
manage
yeah, that's right.
the spread of the virus there. And syempre yung mga mask mandates natin in Manila and Baguio.
Yeah.
So we're
Siguro,
seeing that tighten up again.
reminders na lang din guys, yung mask up, I mean, ano naman siya parang common sense.
Common
Kung
sense
kailan
na siya at this point, dapat.
Yeah, mask up, and then yung bakuna nga, the booster, and isolate if you're feeling, or if you're having symptoms.
We'll keep on reminding everyone.
Yeah.
Especially those who are headed for vacation in the weekend.
From health topic naman, ano naman daw tayo, politics.
Ulit?
Politics ulit. Balik sa politics. Politicians in the Philippines have always had a knack for multitasking. Take it from Senator Lito Lapid, who has been giving action scene lessons of late, or as of late. Senator Lapid shared a behind-the-scenes clip while rehearsing a fight scene. So if you can see in the video, Lapid can be seen teaching the production team some tricks, including the pompiang, which was made famous by Fernando Poe Jr., the King's, or the King, hindi pala the King, the King's daughter, si Lovie Poe, no? Caught on quickly with her father's signature move. Now, if you miss seeing the so-called silent senator over in the Senate, there's a good chance you'll see him in Batang Quiapo.
Hindi pa rin nagtatapos yung career, no? Sa acting.
Alam mo yung pompiang, kailangan ko nga siya i-google. Parang, ano ba yung pompiang?
Symbol. Ginugol mo siya. Ginugol mo siya.
Ganun pala yun, nasa ulo.
And ito
learn
na,
something
ito na,
new.
ito na.
Okay,
Ito na.
okay.
We waited all week to just show you guys this picture. We have this picture of Senator Robin Padilla again. But, you know, what we want to ask you for your thoughts is his outfit during Senate hearings. Which is better, to dress up or, you know, just come in with whatever clothes you're comfortable in? That is the question. No? Kasi parang pumasok yata siya. No?
Naka-hoodie.
na.
Ayan, tuloy, tinatawag na tuloy siya ng boss nating Robin Hoodie
Hindi,
Padilla.
pero kung tinignan mo naman kasi yung suot niya, parang dalan-dala niya eh, no? Yung
Oo.
swag niya, no?
Tsaka bagay sa kanya eh. Tapos
Oo.
minsan naman sobrang overdressed din siya, di ba? Minsan papasok yan, silk na parang Chinese collar
He
din.
always comes as himself.
I think, I think that's also the fashion, ano, di ba?
Just
Yan.
imagine if all the senators, you know, did that.
Ano kaya yung mga suot-suot nila yun? Iba-iba yung mga outfit nila everyday.
Well, all I got to say is he provides us, you know, with a regular dose of entertainment.
Yeah.
So,
He provides us
to
the big
lighten up.
picture.
Well, what about you guys? We'd love to know your thoughts. If you have caption ideas for that photo, leave them in the comments on our Facebook page or YouTube, and we will be sure to check them out.
And make sure that caption is wittier than Robin Hoodie.
Boss, oh?
Last na yun, last na.
And that's it from us tonight.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
This has been The Big Story. Thank you. Have a good weekend.